Welcome to Where There's a Wills.
There's a play.
I'm Ian, your Make Complexity Casual Gamer.
I'm Stacey. I'm your non-gamer gamer.
And today we are here continuing our ranking our collections. Last week we ranked our Ticket to Ride City versions and realized that there were two that were really low on our list that we think are probably going to hit the cull pile. We are now back with our Ticket to Ride base games. So these are full box games that are playable out of the box without anything else, and they are the bigger maps. And we are including the legacy game in this because we do have the legacy game. This video may or may not lead to a call of some of these. We haven't decided on that yet. We knew the city ones probably would. But yeah, so when we first got into the hobby, Ticket to Ride was one of the first games. We really enjoyed it. And we're like, hey, there's all these different maps that play just a little bit differently. So they're familiar. So it gives you a different game, but you still have very familiar gameplay. And so like we were going through, we were kind of getting them all and stuff, and then we kind of realized recently that now that we're much bigger in the hobby and have this YouTube channel, we don't really need all of them. They don't get to the table now that we've got a larger collection. We've got a lot of different types of games that we've learned. So yeah, we're just gonna jump right in and talk about these in the order that they released. So we do have almost all of them. We do not have Markland, which is a very hard to find one. Switzerland, which was originally a big box game, then was re-released as a map pack only, as part of a map pack. We do have that in the map pack, so we won't be talking about the big box of that because we don't have that. And then the newest one is Northern Lights, which was only available in the Nordic countries, but they've just announced they will be bringing that to the US here soon, which is, I think, similar to Nordic countries, but they add some end game goals that you're trying to get, I think. So we'll probably look into that one just to see, but see. So let's just start with the first one, Ticket to Ride. Base game. At this point, this is a modern classic. It's a Spiel winner. The Spiel winners were just announced for 2025 recently. Just like I said, this is the game. This is one of the games that brought us into the hobby. When we would visit Stacey's parents, there's a little shop that has games and toys and candy and puzzles and all sorts of stuff we would go into. Saw this one, went back and watched a video on it. I think we maybe had a couple of games before this and showed it to Stacey. But that one looks fun. When we left her parents' house, her mom went and bought a copy for herself. So this one, modern classic, route building game. You're collecting cards, trying to get enough cards to build your routes between two cities and score points, trying to also get the longest route. So I think most people know what Ticket to Ride. So that is Ticket to Ride, the base game.
And then next is Ticket to Ride Europe. With Ticket to Ride Europe, you are same gameplay as Ticket to Ride, as I believe most of these games are.
Yeah.
But with this one, you're including ferries, tunnels, and stations. And the stations allow you to borrow other people's routes to get from location to location. Same gameplay, score at the end of the game. I like this game.
Yeah, with the ferries in Europe, because there are ferries in different versions, you need to have a certain number of engines in order to claim those routes. And the tunnels, what you do is when you go to claim that route, you draw 3 more cards. And for every card that matches the color you're using, you have to play that many more cards. So a route that's only 2 could end up being a route of 5 if you're very unlucky.
Yep.
All right. The next one is Ticket to Ride Nordic countries. And Nordic countries is a 2 to 3 player game, so it's a little bit different. This one gets very tight with 2 to 3 players. And this one also has some really long routes in it. This has probably the longest route in any game. I think it's worth like 25 points or something. It's really, really long. There's ferries in this one as well that have that you need an engine for, a wild engine for. So yeah, so this one it takes place in the Nordic countries. Like I said, it's only 2 to 3 players, so it does get tight even at 2 players, and it includes ferries and some different routes. So yeah, that is Ticket to Ride Nordic. This is gonna take up a lot of space.
Here, eh? Okay. Uh-oh. I don't know. And then the next one that we're going to be discussing is Sideways, and it's Ticket to Ride Germany. In Ticket to Ride Germany, you have passenger set collections. So you are picking up colored passengers from cities for bonus points at the end of the game. And then I like the board on this. It's very German. I don't know what the word would be for it, but it it's
The
got
artwork.
yeah. It's just
Yeah.
very like
Yeah.
old town German style. I guess I would call it. It's looks like an old map to me. But same thing. This one's 2 to 5 players as well. I think most of the big box games, except for
Nordic.
the Nordic, are 2 to 5
I
players.
do believe so.
So I do like this one as well. This is gonna be hard to actually rank them.
Yeah.
So
Like I said, I don't know if any of these are gonna go because they are the base, full boxes. But
yeah.
yeah, yeah. The passengers add a nice little interesting thing. You randomly place passengers out, and then I think that's a set collection. Like however many you have, you get points for.
We need to play these more often so I remember exactly what.
Yeah, I don't remember exactly what it is. But yeah. All right, and the next one is a bigger box. These ones are all the same size. This one gets a little thicker, and this is Ticket to Ride Rails and Sails. And Rails and Sails is very unique because you're traveling around the entire world. It's not located in one region. And it has train and boat routes. So you have your ships and your trains. And at the beginning of the game, after you take your initial cards, you have to choose how many um, trains and how many boats you are going to take, because you can only have a total combined number of a certain number of them. There's also these really cool routes on the world side. So this actually is a two-sided map. So on the world side, it has these routes where you are also, if you connect all the things on like all 4 locations or 5 locations, you get bonus points. But if you connect them in order, you get even more points. And then the other thing with Rails and Sails, on both the world side and the Great Lakes side, is that you have these port cities. And if you have a certain number of routes that end in a city, you get certain points. And so that adds a nice little. So you're going to build a port city. So if you have a couple routes that go in the same city, you're going to build a port. You're going to put a port there in that city, because if you get one thing that ends there, it can't be in the middle of the that ends there, you get points. 2, you get more points. 3, you get even more points. And I think you have 3 ports that you can build. I think it is. So you have just these different things with like boats and trains. You have ports that you're trying to connect into as the end routes of one of your routes, and the more you connect into it, the more points you get. I think you can have up to 3 into it. And then at least on the world side, you have these things where you can go where you have multiple locations on one card, like more than 2 locations. So that is Ticket to Ride Rails and Sails.
And that one's probably the most complex of the Ticket to Ride.
Of these ones, yes. Of these 5 of the just regular base boxes, that one definitely is probably the most complex, just because it does have both the boats and the trains.
You have a lot of cards in your hand.
Yes, because you have boat cards and train cards and wild cards and all sorts of stuff.
And then the next one is the big boy, daddy of them all.
Set it right there on Rails and Sails.
And that is Legends of the West, the Legacy game, or Ticket to Ride Legends of the West Legacy. I don't know how they want us to say it.
Ticket to Ride Legacy.
Yeah, that
Legends
works.
of the West.
So for those of you who have not played this and want to, we won't ruin any spoilers for you on this one. This has almost all of the gameplay that you're going to find in all of the other big boxes.
A lot of it, yeah.
A lot of it, not all of it, but it's a legacy game, and so you have to use, you have to not necessarily destroy your instruction booklet, but it enhances your instruction booklet, tells you to add stuff here and there. I know. This to me is.
I feel like Al from Home Improvement. Hi-ho, neighbor.
Hi-ho, neighbor. Oh my God. Alrighty then. I completely lost my train of thought. Not like
Sorry.
I had it there anyway. But it's a legacy game. So each time you play, when you first start, you're going to add something different to it. And it's up to you how you want to add to it. And you use I don't think there's any tunnels.
I don't think there's tunnels in this one.
I don't think there's tunnels in this one. But all the other ones, you're going to add to this box game, and it takes up a lot of space. So if you don't have room for it, I don't know. It's up to you what you do with it.
Even at 2 players, this took up like our entire like 6 foot by 6 foot dining table. Like, yeah, you're adding onto the map. You're adding things in your rules like a legacy game. You are you are you are destroying things because it's a legacy game. So there are some parts where you're going to destroy. Like they said, as you start adding parts of the map in, you start adding in some different elements that some things that are sort of familiar, but a lot of stuff that's really cool and really different.
The rules will change.
Yeah, the rules will change. It just adds rules, so we don't want to spoil anything that's in it. So yeah, that is Ticket to Ride Legacy Legends of the West. All right. And just like we did for the city version, I'm going to keep track of our rankings so that we can kind of see what our combined rankings are. Like I said, this may or may not lead to a haul of some of these. We don't know. We have not decided. We kind of decided on the city versions ahead of time that it probably was, especially if we had, but we have not decided whether or not it's going to. Because I think this is going to be, unlike the city where our 6-4 or 6-5-4 were exactly the same, and then our top 3 were just the same but jumbled. I think this is going to be a big difference between the two.
Isn't Ticket to Ride Europe a 2-sided map as well?
It is not.
Which one?
Only Rails and Sales is 2-sided for these.
I thought there was another one. Okay.
Well, all the map collections have 2-sided maps.
Oh.
All the map collections have 2-sided maps. So there's expansion. We're gonna do those.
Okay.
Next.
That's where I'm getting confused.
Yeah. So we're gonna do those next.
Some.
Yeah. No. That makes sense. Yep. Okay. All right. You want to start? Or you want me to? Let's see here.
Ooh. We're gonna start with our least.
Least. We're gonna go 6-1. 6-1.
Oh.
I know what my number 1 is.
I know what my number 1 is.
I know what my number 2 is. 6.
I think I know what my number 6 is.
Then you start, because I'm still thinking.
I think that my number 6 is Ticket to Ride Germany.
Okay. And why?
For the reason why a lot of people probably like it is the reason that I probably don't like it, and that's the passenger pickup thing. It just makes it a little too complicated for me.
Okay.
As a non-gamer gamer, I think the Ticket to Ride Germany is it's not a higher complexity than the other Ticket to Rides, but for me, it just adds a little too much, I would say. I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, you're doing this set collection, so you're trying to not just get your relics, but you're like, oh, I need to get those meeples, especially in a 2-player game.
Yeah. Okay. So I think that's my number 6.
Germany. Okay.
So I'm going to mark that down as my number 6.
And we did not rank these on Pub Meeple. We're just kind of going off the fly here. Like, I know what my number 1. I think I know what my number 2, 3. I'm really debating between 2 of these. Honestly, and you gotta figure, we are talking about tabletop only, not experiences on Board Game Arena or any digital versions, which I play. This is tabletop only, which means it's just the 2 of us. I think I'm going to go. I think I'm going with this. And it's going to be a surprise, and that's Europe. And I'll tell you why. While the stations are a great idea, they rarely, if ever, come into play in a 2-player game.
That's true.
And I like the tunnels and the ferries, but we have those in other versions that I like as well. So I think Europe's going to be my number 6 because I think it's just because the ferries don't really come into play at all, like at all for us in a 2-player game.
And we've only ever played all of these on a tabletop as 2 players,
right? So and I know that Europe is a lot of people's favorite because of all the stuff it adds, but I think because those don't really come into play on the tabletop. I think that one's gonna be
number 5.
That's gonna be your number 5?
Yeah.
Okay. And what? So that's your number 5?
Yeah, just because of the same reasons. The tunnels, like they don't come into play whatsoever in a two-player game. Now, if you're playing this at a higher level count, you're going to be using them more often because you can use the double tracks and you can use all of that stuff. But for two-player game, Europe just it doesn't make sense.
I like I said, I agree. Like you can find your way around, and I don't think we've ever placed a station. I don't think we've ever placed this. I do love the tunnel mechanism, and it makes sense. Like, oh, it's a tunnel. You don't know how long. Like, it might be a long tunnel. But yeah. So okay. So we can get this one out of the way because this one's already been on both of our lists. My number 5 is going to be actually your number 6. So Germany. I think the passenger mechanism is really interesting, but I don't know if it really adds enough to the game for me to like be like, oh yeah, I need to go and collect passengers as I'm going around the world. So, yeah, it is an interesting set collection thing, but it does also make you go like, oh wait, I need to get some more because they, especially once again in a 2-player game, one person can just run away with like passengers and things. And sometimes in a 2-player game, if you can just go take first place in a lot of those passenger sets, it could end up being that helps you. I mean, that's going to win the game for you because if you can take first place in like in the majority of the passengers, that could win the game for you. Yep. And then you're just working on your other stuff. So yeah, and like I said, 2-player game. So at 2 players, I don't think the passengers are as strong.
And if your routes don't go towards where those people are, you're wasting a lot of your cards trying to get to where those people are and not fulfilling your
because of the randomness of where the cards are being placed. Okay, number 4.
I think you know my number 4. Yeah.
Yeah.
Rails and Sails is my number 4, and I actually do. When I first played this game, I absolutely hated it. I couldn't stand playing this game. Just for the simple fact that you have to collect train cards and boat cards. Some of the boat cards have anchors on them, which count as a double. Some of them are only a single, so you have to kind of separate your doubles from your singles.
Oh, that's right. Some of those boats have 2 boats. Yeah, that's right.
So some of them are worth 2, some of them are worth 1, so you kind of have to separate them. And at one time, you can have, a crap ton of cards in your hand while you're trying to collect to get to your route. So for me, it was just trying to keep everything organized was my main problem with my train cards, with the colors that I had, with my wilds, with, trying to do that. And then my boat cards, trying to keep the anchors from the non-anchors to all of that. It was just really overwhelming when I first played this game. The more I play it, the more I do enjoy it. And I've found and figured out ways to keep my cards more organized. We bought these little card trays that you plop them in, and it works out really well. So once we got to that point, it became more enjoyable to me. So Ticket to Ride Rails and Sails is probably one of the higher complexity games of the regular Ticket to Rides as well. I would
say this is probably the most, just because of the multiple things that you're trying to manage.
Yep.
And routes are going between continents and stuff, so you need the boats and you need the other things, and then some of the other things that come in.
But after, for being a non-gamer gamer, at first, like I said, it was extremely overwhelming for me. But once you get going and you figure out how to organize everything, it becomes easier to play, and it actually is enjoyable to play.
Nice.
You just have a ton of cards.
Nice. Yep. Okay. I'm going to go, and this one is near and dear to our hearts because it is one of ours, but I'm going to put the base game as my number 4. I just don't think I can put it higher than number 4. But I think the base game for me, one of the big reasons is it brought us into the game. It is Ticket to Ride. It is essential to Ticket to Ride. I do believe that if you are getting into gaming, this is a game you should play because it is a very easy onboarding game. It can be very mean depending on who you're playing with. Like if you are playing with people that are just blocking routes and stuff, which we don't tend to do. We tend to do our own thing.
Not on purpose.
Not on purpose. If we have to, we do, but we tend to not like purposely go, oh, I'm going to block your route.
I can see you're obviously going from New York to
Yeah.
wherever, and so
Yeah.
I'm gonna be an a-hole and just
Yeah.
block you off. We don't tend to do that.
No. So classic Tick to Ride. Like I said, Spiel des Jahres winner. Clearly, you know why. It is a great route building game, collecting things, trying to go through things. It brought us into the hobby, so it's always it's one of those ones that brought us into the hobby. It's always gonna be near and dear to our heart. But I don't think I can put it higher than 4.
Okay, I can see that. So then my number 3 is one that you just talked about, or whatever number we're on.
You're on 3.
Number
You're on
2?
3. You're on 3.
I'm on 3. Oh, wait a minute. I forgot about the Ticket to the West one.
Okay.
That one was going to be. Oh,
Is that
shoot.
behind this?
Yeah, because I dislike that one more than I dislike this one.
Okay.
So
we're backtracking.
We're backtracking. I'm sorry. They weren't. It wasn't in front of me.
Yeah, I know. Okay, so backtracking.
Oh.
Okay.
That's okay. No, just leave it. We'll just leave it.
Just leave it at 3.
Yeah, I'm just gonna leave it at 3. So I won't discuss too much of the game like I did before, but the first couple of these was really super fun. So I'm gonna leave. I'm gonna leave this at my number 3. Because we've never played it after we did the Legacy, so I don't know exactly how it plays after we have already completed it. So I imagine that you can just set it up how you want and just kind of play how you want. So
Spoiler.
Oh, I'm sorry.
That's okay.
I imagine.
I think that's out there. I think that's out. I'm pretty sure that's out there.
I'm sure
that you end up with your own map you can play. So
yeah. So anywho, but when we got to the very end, there was so much going on that I don't know if I'd want to play it with the whole kit and caboodle.
So I think at the beginning, the first about 6, even after we had the first couple things in, you were good. I think in the middle, because you played 12 total, I think in the middle, I think like 7 through 9, 7 through 10, you were getting a little overwhelmed because we had so much stuff that was still there. Some of the stuff you add in will go away after like one game. Some of it will be there for a long time. And there was a time there in the middle, about 7th through 10th game, where there was about 4 or 5 different things that were still being used in a 2-player game because you didn't do this stuff else. And then about the end, like the 10th, 11th, 12th game, a lot of those things went away. So I think at that point you started being like, oh yeah, this is I'm getting it again because there wasn't as much going on. But yeah, about the middle, about 7 through 10, those four games, we started having, like I said, about 3, 4, 5 different things that were going on. As we got to the end of those games and we got to the last 3 games in it, or even the last 2, like 11, 12, a lot of those things had fallen off. So we only had a couple things out. So then it was just a big map. There were a few things that were ongoing that just stayed in there, but a lot of little things that you added in that were specific for one thing that weren't a continuous thing once you were done with it, those had fallen off. So I think then at the end you kind of started having a little bit more fun again, even though the game did take longer. But yeah, it was definitely that middle. You definitely were you were a little overwhelmed by some of the stuff.
A lot overwhelmed. But I did enjoy playing the whole thing. It was a lot of fun. So I'm gonna leave that one where I have it ranked.
Okay. All right.
But I think we do need to go back and try it.
Yeah. Oh yeah, yeah. Set it up and play the.
Pay that much for a game, you need to play it again.
Oh, I played it 12 times.
True.
But yeah, I'd like to try the map and see because some of the stuff you keep, some of the stuff you don't. Okay. My number 2.
I smell smoke. Gears are grinding.
My number 2. What is my number 2 going to be? My number 2 is going to be. Or my number 3 is going to be Rails and Sails.
Oh.
Okay. So Rails and Sails. I love this version of the game. One reason I'm putting it at number 3 is because it is big to set up and it does take a long time, and you do end up with a lot of different cards. Like Stacey said, you end up with train cards, you end up with boat cards, you have And then the wilds are in only one of them, but the wilds can be used for both. So you have to remember that when you have your wild train, that is just a wild for either thing. There isn't wild boats and wild trains. You have the interesting thing, which we didn't talk about with it, which I didn't talk about with this, is when you set up your row of cards, you start the game with 3 trains and 3 boats, but when you take a card, you can choose what to put down. So you could end up with 6 trains. You could end up with 6 boats or any combination, which if you are trying to get boats and the other person is trying to get trains and they're taking trains away or boats away to get more train cards out there, all of a sudden you're taking cards that you don't want. So I do love this, and the mid and the Great Lakes side I really like because it does have Madison, Wisconsin. I grew up 30 miles from there, so I do always like stuff that has cities near where I grew up and stuff. But it is a big one, and it is all the cards. So I am gonna put that one at number 3 for me.
Okay. That works. I'll accept your number
Okay,
3.
number 2. You
My
got
number 2.
you got this and this left.
I'm gonna go with regular old fashioned Ticket to Ride
Base
for
Ticket
my
to
number
Ride.
2.
Base Ticket to Ride. All right.
Even though it is the first one that I learned, I've played it so much that I think I've overplayed it.
Yeah,
I don't
played
know.
it a lot. We played it a lot before we even started tracking. We played it a lot.
We played it a lot. And of course, depending on how the train cards come up, it's going to be different play each time in your route cards, and there's a lot of route cards to choose from. But it's Ticket to Ride. Everybody's played Ticket to Ride, I think. I don't know. Maybe not. If you haven't,
I think most people.
It's a good game. I like it. It's fun.
Right. Sorry, just doing some calculations here for our. Okay, so that means my number 2 is going to be Nordic countries. I especially for a 2-player game to have a base game map that is this tight for 2 players. These other games, you rarely. It's really funny because it seems like you're either going to be completely on top of each other or you're never near each other in these other games. This one, you're going to be near each other, and the middle of this gets kind of tight, like kind of tight. And because the outside of one side of it is like all tunnels, you need to get a lot more cards because there's just a lot of the roads on one side is tunnels because you're going through the mountains. The middle, basically, there's one way through the middle in a 2-player game because as soon as someone takes something, and someone only needs to take one of the routes, and you just can't get there. So you need to make your way around it. So I do like this. I like that it gets a little tighter at 2 players, and not even like in a mean way. Just it's how it is. And I like like I said, there's ferries in this one, like in Europe, and they're done very well. There's tunnels in this one, like Europe, they're done very well. That really long road is always tempting to just try and collect cards just to try and get that long route for the points, even if it's nowhere near where you're building. I love the look of this one. I love the cards in this one. So yeah, I'm gonna go with Nordic for my number 2.
Nice. Okay, and that leaves me with my number 1, and that is Nordic countries for my number 1. Now, the reason that I put this one at number 1 is mainly because it is a 2 to 3 player only. And so, therefore, you are going to have a tighter map onto it. Like all the things that Ian was saying, I enjoy that there's smaller map that you have to adhere to. And with the 3 players, you can use the double. With the 2 players, you still can only use this. You can't use the double routes.
Double routes, yep.
That are in there. So you can only use the one. So you have to be kind of imaginative to get to your new route because you are pretty much almost guaranteed to get blocked in one way or the other. Normally, I don't like being blocked in all of the other games, but for some reason in Nordic, you don't have a choice. I think you kind of expect being blocked, so you just have to anticipate that. So that is one of the reasons that I do like this one. It's a kind of a smaller map as well. Plays a little bit quicker than Ticket to Ride does, or maybe the same length. We always played it a little bit quicker than Ticket to Ride. So those are my winning points for Nordic countries.
Right. So that leaves me with my number 1, which
oh boy.
Ticket to Ride Legacy, Legends of the West. It's the only Legacy game that we've done. We had a really good time doing it. We played it every weekend almost between Thanksgiving and New Year's Eve a couple years ago. I really liked the story that it told and the way that you could add things in however you wanted. We had a really crazy thing where we had basically one way to get from the east to the west because we just went right through the middle and then did the west coast, and we just had this like anvil looking thing. It was crazy, like this almost hammer sort of thing looking. And it was a lot of fun. I also like the sometimes you'll get some cards that hint towards things that are going on. Like, and that was one reason, like when I started adding things in, I went because I knew there was going to be something in one region. And then I got a hint towards something. I'm like, oh, well, I want to see what that is. So I want to add that in. So it kind of gives you like, oh, there's something down there that sounds really interesting. And I might want to get that in the game early because it sounds like there's some scoring opportunities for that one early. And if I get it late, maybe that does it. Maybe those things aren't taking effect as much. So it is really interesting. It is one that in several years, if the price drops way down, it would be kind of fun to play again and add things in a different way because it would be a different experience. Like Stacey said, you can play this. You can play this afterward. I think you have to take some cards out. You still can include some of the things that are added in, but it gives you a unique map that is unique to you. So that's kind of interesting. Yeah, so it was just a really fun experience, and I think that's the reason it's kind of jumping. It's kind of a cheat because it's a legacy game, but you can replay it. You can play the map that you created with it. So Ticket to Ride Legacy Legends of the West is my number one. So let's see our overall rankings. So we had a tie because our fifth and sixth were mixed. Germany and Europe are basically a tie for fifth overall. And I'm kind of wondering if, well, we'll talk about that in a minute. Our number 4, which is no surprise, is Rails and Sails combined. Number 3 is Legends of the West. Rails and Sails was 3 on mine and 4 on Stacey's. Legacy was 3 on Stacey's and number 1 on mine. Oh, no, sorry. 3 was Ticket to Ride, the base game. Because that was number 4 on mine and 2 on yours. Legacy was number 2 because it was number 1 and 3 overall. And that means that our number 1, because it was number 1 on yours and number 2 on mine, is Nordic countries.
So I like that game.
Nordic countries.
Need to play that.
I'm kind of wondering now, the 2 things that we like about Europe, the tunnels and the ferries, are in Nordic. And
so why keep
and
that
tunnel one? and the stations don't come into play for us in Europe.
Yeah.
So that might mean Europe might go just because this has the 2 things we really like about Europe in this game. So we can get that aspect of things in a tighter map. So that might mean Europe might just leave the collection. Germany has something different. So we'll see. We'll see how we feel about Germany.
Maybe we just play that one in October for
Oktoberfest. Yeah. Okay. Well, there you have it, guys. A couple little mix-ups there and a couple things, but that's okay. We're not professionals. We're not professionals.
I'm old.
Yeah. Let us know which of these Ticket to Rides you've played. Let us know if you have played Northern Lights and I'm really interested in that one and to see what that one adds to like a base game. But yeah, like I said, there may be a call coming from this, but we have not decided yet. But it might make sense with Europe since Nordic is our number 1 combined, that Europe might go. All right, everybody. Like I said, let us know what you think about these games, which ones you've played, which ones are your favorites of the ones you've played. And please like, comment, and subscribe. It means so much to the channel. Hit that bell button so you know when new videos are posted. Once again, this is Ben, where there's a Wheels.
There's a play.
I'm Ian.
I'm Stacey.
And we'll see you next time.
At the table.